Hello, I am Jake Collins, and this is the fifth in a short series of commentaries I'm doing on He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. This is the penultimate commentary I'm going to be doing from the original series, the 1983 series, and it's on the greatest show in Eternia, the 100th episode of He-Man, actually. A fun episode, a silly episode, quite a throwaway episode, nothing huge in terms of plot and characterization and themes, but that's okay. A fun and silly and funny and just cheer you up if you're feeling down kind of episode now and then certainly has its place in the series as a whole, and I think as a fun piece of children's television, this episode has a heck of a lot going for it. It does contain, though, a point that I've been wanting to talk about and that does annoy me about He-Man, the cartoon, sometimes, which is the infantilizing of Orko, which you sometimes see happening in episodes and can get very annoying. Now, Orko is supposed to be a character that the young audience enjoy watching, enjoy his antics, and identify with in some ways. Okay, that's fine, that works, that's really good. Good use of Orko, successful pulling off of that role for Orko. But what some writers sometimes fail to appreciate, I think, is that Orko is not a child himself, and he shouldn't be presented as a child in the show. And in this episode, he very much is. He's having childlike enthusiasm and getting carried away over the top, making the circus poster, putting up guys spill his glue and stuff. But it really is taken to further extremes here. Orko taking the role of the child who wants to, or young person who thinks it's glamorous and easy and fun to run away and join the circus, and he doesn't appreciate the harsh realities of life. He thinks it's all going to be fun and games, and Adam says to him at one point, "Oh, I believe you're really serious about joining the circus, but last week you were really serious about being a firefighter, and the week before that you were really serious about being a musician." I mean, that's all turning Orko into kind of a kid character, and as I say, infantilizing him, which I don't think is a very good idea for Orko as a character and to fit in with his history. It wouldn't be reasonable to complain that we don't get an early enough He-Man appearance in this episode, of course. He-Man has to save the circus rocket train from crashing straight off, and indeed that's the kind of level of peril in this episode. It's all directly related to the circus. There's nothing hugely universally significant happening. Skeletor isn't really trying to do anything evil to try to get hold of all the powers of the universe, the secrets of Grayskull. He's just trying to ruin the circus because he doesn't want the people of Eternia to enjoy the circus. And anything that Skeletor does, that's his motivation. And as I was saying, like with the episode as a whole, that's rather fun, that's rather silly, rather trivial in some ways, but certainly it has its place in the show, I think, and is good to watch and enjoy. If we think about Orko's history, thinking back to Creatures from the Tar Swamp, which I commentated on, Orko has been on Eternia for about 10 years, and he wasn't a child, he was an adult, fully grown up, having had a lot of experiences on Troller and having become a famous sorcerer, Orko the Great, by that point. So Orko's got to be at least, 30 years old? Probably more like 40. certainly he's older than Adam, so when Adam starts treating Orko like a child, it does come across as rather strange, actually. Adam in the kind of parent role to this little Trotlan who's about twice his age. I don't think, as I say, that's a very good use of Orko. And there are other problems with his kind of age, or the way people treat him like he's aged, and his backstory, which I will hopefully remember to discuss in just a moment. This scene with Skeletor and Evil Lyn and Beastman, of course, is quite amusing. We find out there Skeletor's motivation here. He wanted the circus to come to perform at Snake Mountain, but the circus wouldn't. The royal family is paying for free performances for the people instead. And Skeletor's jealous and doesn't want the people to enjoy the circus, and that's why he's going to try to ruin it. He's not going to try to do anything evil with the circus as such. He's just going to try to stop people enjoying it and enjoy it himself. Trivial stuff from Skeletor, but as I say, very fun. Quite striking in this episode is the character Myrtle, who is a myrtlefant, which is an elephant with 3 trunks, a very interesting Eternian animal there. Of course, Orko thinks all you have to do if you're working in the circus with Myrtle, learn how to ride her or do some tricks. Oh no, we all have to work. Myrtle has to work. Let's give her a bath. Give her a bath, Orko thinks. I mean, it's a very infantile reaction to that sort of thing. It's like Orko doesn't have life experience and doesn't appreciate the harsh realities of life, whereas really, he should. He's old and experienced enough to know what life's all about. There's this bit here with Adam and Crackers the Clown, who's voiced by, I'm pretty sure, John Irwin, doing a very good kind of Mickey Mouse voice. Starts a kind of running gag for the episode. Crackers has this bird that pops out of his front and repeats things. A sort of joke, cuckoo clock mechanism sort of thing. And Adam is excessively tickled by this, finds it incredibly amusing. More amusing than anyone really should find it, and that's a joke in itself, and it's a recurring thing through the episode. And it does lead on to a point that I like and have talked about before, which we'll come back to in a moment when it becomes more relevant. I always think about Uncle Montauk and Drael thinking about Orko's history and how his supposed history with those 2 other Trollan characters doesn't always match up. Drael says he's very famous, he's Orko the Great, a great sorcerer. She's kind of in awe of him as a celebrity when she first meets him. Whereas Uncle Montauk treats Orko very like a child. I taught you all the magic you know. Uncle Montauk's the greatest magician in our family. And when Orko's talking with Uncle Montauk, Lou Scheimer does play Orko very kind of childlike. And, oh boy, oh gee, Uncle, and stuff like that. So it always used to strike me, well, Montauk and Drael don't really match up as characters in Orko's past. Here's this bit where Beastman controls Myrtle with his mental powers and makes her go absolutely crazy. And Crackers is going, oh no, Myrtle's out of control. But fortunately he doesn't say we're going to have to shoot her through the brain or she'll kill us all. It's just a matter of Adam becoming He-Man again and sorting things out in his own inimitable way. But of course they do manage to put Drael and Montauk in episodes together later on, and perhaps Orko manages to find some middle ground with his history involving the 2 of them. But it's another symptom of how the way Orko is used sometimes, infantilized as I say, doesn't match up with his history as it should. You may have noticed when Skeletor was instructing Evil Lyn and Beastman to go to the circus, Evil Lyn seemed quite pleased at the prospect of a day off. Well, that's awfully nice of you, Skeletor. Perhaps, really, Evelyn's heart isn't in her evil doing as much as we might think it is. But no, Skeletor wasn't telling them to go and enjoy the circus, he was telling them to go and ruin it. Of course he was. Just because Skeletor wanted to have it at Snake Mountain and it wouldn't come. Again, it's He-Man doing something comparatively trivial to what he usually does. He puts up all the tents in the circus. I mean, it's not saving the universe stuff, is it? Because the universe isn't really in danger in this episode. But there we go, perhaps it teaches us the importance of doing things well and doing things properly and standing up for what's right on a smaller scale. Obviously, He-Man believes in that. You can tell very clearly from this episode. And here's where He-Man and Crackers come up with the plan. Let's say to Orko, you can join the circus, and we'll teach him what hard work it is. I mean, cripes, He-Man, Adam's about half Orko's age, and yet he's plotting with this clown behind Orko's back to teach him a lesson that you would teach a child, overexcited young person. But here comes the bit that I do like anyway. He-Man and Crackers have this conversation, and then Crackers' little cuckoo pops out again. Hard work, and He-Man absolutely falls about laughing. He loves that. Another nice link there between Adam and He-Man, showing how they are emotionally the same character. I always like it when they bother putting in things like that, acknowledgements like that. I've said in relation to that point before that sometimes people address them as two different characters, He-Man and Adam, when they don't need to. For example, when Adam and Man-at-Arms are flying in the Wind Raider together and the Wind Raider goes wrong and Adam goes, oh, I better turn into He-Man and jump onto that mountain and catch the Wind Raider as it crashes. Yes, another crashing Wind Raider. When He-Man has done that, Man-at-Arms says, oh, well done, He-Man. Thanks for saving me, He-Man. I mean, why not just call him Adam in that situation? There's no one there apart from the two of you. There's no point in calling him He-Man, because it's not really a secret identity he needs at that point. Cringer does it too in the big He-Man and Cringer episode, Hunt for He-Man, which is, I think, the episode before this one in production order. I really think these people should think of and address He-Man as Adam when there's no reason to maintain the secret identity. But there we go, I think that's the last little aspect of that point that I'm going to make. Hopefully I won't mention it again. Here's this bit where the harsh realities of circus life or of physical working life are revealed to Orko. I mean, he's been through a lot in his 40 years or whatever his lifespan is so far. He shouldn't be this naive. But a valuable lesson perhaps for us as young viewers, and yes, they do want to use Orko as a kind of vessel for us to learn that kind of lesson, but they shouldn't have done it in this way here. It doesn't fit in, as I say, with Orko as a character and with his backstory. It's quite groundbreaking for the time. The great Orlando, the male trapeze artist, he's doing the laundry. Yes, indeed. It's not just women's work. Everyone pitches in and helps out. And he does have a kind of female assistant, like Malik, the Wizard of Stone Mountain. He has a female assistant, but unlike Malik, the great Orlando doesn't make her do all the skivvy work and housework. And here's Skeletor at the circus, just wanting to take it over so that he can be the only one to enjoy it. And that's all he's trying to do. I was talking in my previous commentary about the stark difference between Skeletor when he's being very amusing in this series and the very ruthless, very evil version we see in the Masters of the Universe movie played by Frank Langella. All the powers of the universe will be bestowed upon me. The universe will be mine. And he does that sort of speech and has that sort of motivation in the cartoon series as well. But not here. Oh no. I'm going to get rid of Crackers the Clown, the boss of the circus. So now it's my circus, and it will amuse only me. You would think that Skeletor might not really be amused by, engage with the things that go on in the circus, but he's very determined to see them. Bit of turning the joke with the pop-out bird on its head there. It pops out and says something at the wrong time and causes an avalanche, but fortunately He-Man is there as usual to save the day. But we get the bit in a moment where Skeletor has gathered the circus folk together and is saying, I'm your master now. And they're like, what have you done with Crackers and stuff? And Skeletor says to them, I demand to be amused. I mean, really. Are they going to be able to amuse Skeletor with their trapeze acts and their Myrtlefant tricks and things? Who knows? But Skeletor obviously thinks so. And the denouement of this episode, the last little act here, is very comical, funny and silly, and works very well and rounds off the episode very nicely. Man-at-Arms and Teela are here saying to the people, yes, unfortunately it's true, the circus is cancelled, Skeletor's taken it over and he won't let anyone in. It's hardly high-stakes stuff, is it? But it's rather well done and rather fun. And here's the bit. Skeletor demands to be amused. The circus folk aren't very happy with him. But of course we get He-Man and Crackers pop up through the floor, and slapstick fun ensues. And it really does go to show how Skeletor can be used terribly effectively in a humorous scene, as a humorous character, as the butt of all the jokes here. And it doesn't spoil him as an antagonist, as an evildoer. It doesn't get used in this way too much. It's not stretching the character too far. It's very effectively done. And here we go with this slapstick stuff. He-Man and Skeletor dueling on trapezes. Not the sort of thing you usually see, but rather fun. And Alan Oppenheimer makes Skeletor's voice work very fun, very amusing, quite tongue-in-cheek, with all his wah and stuff while he's falling off the trapeze. Very amusingly done, fun to watch. You wouldn't want to see Skeletor in these kind of situations every week. He would lose his credibility as an evildoer, a powerful villain. But just occasionally something rather fun and frivolous like this, it works very well. And he's bouncing up and down on the safety net, wah, completely out of control. I mean, that's very funny. And they add in some funny animation here. Skeletor grabbing his hip and limping off after everything he's been through. It's amusing stuff. It's fun to watch. It's slapstick. It's something to use sparingly, but it's quite effective. And the comedy isn't over yet. Skeletor goes into the fireworks storage place and accidentally sets off the fireworks. He-Man warns him not to. Skeletor's like, I'll do what I want. You've got to tell me what to do. And, oh no! And then Skeletor shooting off on the rocket. I mean, that's highly comical. And more sort of, wah, from Alan Oppenheimer there. Great stuff. And Skeletor's ordeal isn't even over yet. Bounces off the drum. head splats through the wall, and he ends up as the face of this kind of ostrich creature on a poster that's part of the circus. I mean, what a lot of fun, what a lot of silliness. But it works. Used sparingly, it works. And Orko's learned his lesson about the harsh realities of life on the road, physical life. It's not all fun and games. But really, he shouldn't have been as clueless about life as all that. And there's an end to that episode. And Adam and Orko spell out that lesson a bit for us at the end, and perhaps that is the most useful thing we can take away from the episode, as well as, of course, a lot of fun and laughs. And, indeed, that is a good thing. Thank you for joining me for this episode commentary. Hopefully you'll join me again next time for my final commentary on the original He-Man series, on the episode Not So Blind.